Dear students, how are you all? I hope you are keeping well at home. In our last class, you have studied about different types of animals and steps involved in processing fibers into wool. Now just recall the steps of process of fibers into wool. They are shearing, scouring, sorting, cleaning of burrs, dyeing and rolling. My dear students, each nation, state, district, as well as each place has got its own importance. For example, India is for agriculture, Mandya is for sugar. Why does Coorg famous for? Coorg is famous for oranges, isn't it? Why does Chikmagalur famous for? Chikmagalur is famous for coffee. Similarly, why does Mysore famous for? Mysore is famous for silk, isn't it? So my dear students, in today's class we shall study about silk fibers. Silk fibers are also animal fibers. Silkworms spin the silk fibers. The rearing of silkworms for obtaining silk is called sericulture. What is sericulture? The rearing of silkworms for obtaining silk is called sericulture. Before we discuss the process of obtaining silk, it is necessary to know the interesting life history of the silk moth, isn't it? Now let us study about the life history of silk moth. The female silk moth lays eggs from which hatch larvae which are called caterpillars or silkworms. They grow in size, and when the caterpillar is ready to enter the next stage of its life history called pupa, it first weaves a net to hold itself. Then it swings its head from side to side in the form of the figure of number 8. During these movements of the head, the caterpillar secretes fiber made of a protein which hardens on exposure to air and becomes a silk fiber. Soon the caterpillar completely covers itself by silk fibers and turns into pupa. This covering is known as cocoon. The further development of the pupa into moth continues inside the cocoon. Silk fibers are used for weaving silk cloth. The silk yarn or thread is obtained from the cocoon of the silk moth. There is a variety of silk moths which look very different from one another, and the silk yarn they yield is different in texture. For example, coarse, smooth, shiny, etc. Thus, Tassar silk, Muga silk, Kosa silk, etc. are obtained from cocoons spun by different types of moths. The most common silk moth is the mulberry silk moth. The silk fiber from the cocoon of this moth is soft, lustrous and elastic and can be dyed in beautiful colors. Sericulture or culture of silkworms is a very old occupation in India. India produces plenty of silk on a commercial scale. For obtaining silk, moths are reared and their cocoons are collected to get silk threads. Dear students, now let us see how to rear the silkworms. A female silk moth lays hundreds of eggs at a time. The eggs are stored carefully on strips of cloth or paper and sold to silkworm farmers. The farmers keep eggs under hygienic conditions and under suitable conditions of temperature and humidity. The eggs are warmed to a suitable temperature for the larvae to hatch from eggs. This is done when mulberry trees bear a fresh crop of leaves. The larvae, called caterpillars or silkworms, eat day and night and increase enormously in size. The larvae are kept in clean bamboo trays along with the freshly chopped mulberry leaves. After 25 to 30 days, the caterpillars stop eating and move to a tiny chamber of bamboo in the tray to spin cocoons. Small racks or twigs may be provided in the trays to which cocoons get attached. The caterpillar or silkworm spins the cocoon inside which develops the silk moth. Now, my dear students, let us learn about the processing of silk. A pile of cocoons is used for obtaining silk fibers. The cocoons are kept under the sun or boiled or exposed to steam. The silk fibers separate out. The process of taking out threads from the cocoons for use as silk is called reeling the silk. What do you mean by reeling the silk? The process of taking out threads from the cocoon for use as silk is called reeling the silk. Reeling is done in special machines which unwind the threads or fibers of silk from the cocoon. Silk fibers are then spun into silk threads which are woven into silk cloth by weavers. Thus, my dear students, till now we have studied about the silk fibers and rearing silkworms as well as processing silk, etc. Okay, my dear students, we shall meet in the next class. Till then, be safe, be happy at home.